the 24/7 prayer movement, which is a cool thing. And I know that you guys have some experience of running prayer rooms there in Dunedin. Was that from last year? You sort of got on board with it, the prayer initiative last year?
Well, actually, was involved in 24/7 in the UK before I moved to
That's
New Zealand.
right.
But have partnered up with Sam Harvey and others who've been really key in pioneering this work of 24/7 formally in New Zealand. And so it's been great to find that there's a lot of other churches really hungry to get involved in this space.
Yeah. Now that you're going to be approaching it again, do you feel like you learnt a little bit from what you guys have already been doing? You've learnt some things that you think, yeah, I might do that differently this time?
Well, we started out doing 24/7 prayer during COVID times. So when people were at home, we were trying to coordinate online prayer meetings, all that kind of thing. But it's in trying to run prayer meetings practically with everyone back together that we've learned a lot of lessons. And there's definitely been some things that have worked, some things that haven't. And so we've been on a journey. At this point, we've done 9 weeks together in the church building, praying together over the course of the last year or so. So there's something that we've really invested ourselves in, but there's definitely some things that have been fails that we've learned from.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the fails then. What didn't work so well?
Well, when we first started the idea of praying together in the building, I had grand visions. I thought, for example, let me pitch this idea to students. As soon as you finished your exams, why don't you stay for an extra week and pray and seek God? I thought some would get inspired to, but they didn't. They all gapped it. They went
I'm out of here. I'm going home. I've been working hard.
And so then I'm left there and I'm looking at the prayer roster. And we'd had this thought, let's start at midnight. Let's end at midnight. There's something sacrificial about that. There's something special about that. And so looking at the prayer roster, come 2 days before, no one had put their name down for that first hour. Actually, no one had put their name down for the first 9 hours. And I thought to myself, well, I'll have to lead by example. So I put my name down from midnight till 6.
Yeah.
And I preached 3 times that Sunday, went home, had a wee nap, and I just woke up grumpy. So I'm like driving into church. I'm like, God, this was a bad idea. And why doesn't anyone else take this prayer thing seriously? Look at me, I'm all on my own out here doing the prayer thing, just all of these sorts of grumbles that you have to yourself. And God just ignored me, or it was just silent. I was like,
yeah,
thank you. That's awesome. So I was really setting myself up for a great prayer time, 6 hours of prayer on my own in a grumbling attitude. But when I got to church, 2 people already here waiting.
Yeah.
And then in the next 6 hours, 11 people wandered in between midnight and 6 a.m.
Wow.
Every one of them saying, I got woken up by the Holy Spirit to come and pray.
Mm.
So they hadn't gone to sleep intending to come and pray. God had just woken them up. And all of a sudden, my grumbling turned to praise. I'm like, God, you can wake people up in the middle of the night to seek your face.
Yeah.
And so that began a thing for us of like, we'd started kind of wrong, I guess, started in the wrong space, but God just took the time of praying, took the people that were invested. And that 1 week became 3 weeks of prayer. And those 11 people became 250 different people came to pray.
Wow.
We had 1,200 hours of prayer in the course of 3 weeks, which was like 2 or 3 times what we would have expected in terms of that time. And so God just breathed on it and people really engaged. And so in the middle of a mistake or a mess, God took something and really made it special. So yeah, that's one of those examples where we've experienced a challenge, but it's been turned around.
Yeah. Now, something that you have learned from this, I know that you sort of start and finish at a different time now, don't you? You've worked out. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, to be honest, what we realized is the hardest times to get people to come and pray is on a Saturday and on Sunday afternoons.
Yeah.
People just will not come out on those times. I guess it's family time or doing stuff. So what we've done in terms of optimizing is we'll start Sunday night, 8 o'clock, straight after our night church service. And then we'll finish on Friday night at 8 o'clock. And so we have a real intense time. We finish up with our youth group all coming together to pray for that final hour. So there's strong start, strong end. And we just find people engaged strongly all the way through when we just recognize that people are living lives and they are doing the sacrificial thing. But, we want to champion, let's keep pushing this, but also acknowledge some of the practical limitations.
Yeah. And speaking of practical, you guys were really practical. You recognize that for a lot of us, praying for an hour, I talk to God all the time, bits and pieces. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how often I do a whole hour, but you've actually created some resources for people, haven't you? I saw that it was up on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. Well, to be honest, the moment I start talking about the idea of praying for an hour and praying through the night, the disbelief is palpable. People are just like, you are joking. There's no way we're doing that. So we did have to learn how to help people.
Yeah.
So what we did was just film what we call them coaching videos. So there's like a 2 or 3 minute coach, and then a guided prayer time of 15 minutes. So how do you pray with the word of God? How do you pray with a worship song? How do you pray with listening to the Spirit? And so each one of those videos is just designed to help people use 15 minutes wisely. And by the time you've done 3 or 4, you're like, oh my goodness, an hour's gone. What we always find is people are reticent. They're like, oh, I'm only going to do 5 minutes. But the moment they've done their first hour, they're like, oh, I could do another one.
Yeah.
Oh, I could do another one.
Yeah.
And often people sign up for 1 hour. They end up coming back 3, 4, 5 times through the course of that week because they've learned how to pray for an hour.
Yeah. And something you also learned, because I know I read an article that you'd written where you were getting people to try and sign up at home, but there wasn't that much buy-in. But as soon as you actually, even though it involved leaving home, you opened up the church auditorium, people were more likely to come.
Yeah, it's a bit of an effort for us. We have to clear all the seats, but creating the space, people realize that there's a sacrifice involved, but it's a willing sacrifice they want to make. When you're at home, you try to pray, you sit in your favorite chair, you might fall asleep, or you might see that the kitchen needs tidying, or you might have an annoyance from one of the kids coming tapping you on the shoulder.
Sure.
But going somewhere, consecrating the time, making the sacrifice, people not just engage with it, but got encouraged by seeing other people in the prayer room.
Yeah.
Other people that they hadn't connected with, and getting together to pray. And what we'd often see spontaneous prayer spilling out of this, where groups would start praying together. So yeah, taking that step was a bit of a journey for us, but actually people also wanted to make the sacrifice, and it made it easier for them to pray for that hour as well.
And how has this embracing prayer as a church impacted the culture of your church and how people interact and that sort of thing?
Well, I certainly would say that there's a whole new level of openness in terms of to things of the Spirit. One of the funny anecdotes here, Lizzie, is that we have a pastoral care department, and our pastoral care leader loves 24/7 prayer time because all of the pastoral care needs just drop off. She doesn't have as many calls. People aren't hassling her. It seems like they're bringing their own things to God, which is amazing.
So good.
But we've also had people like families come in. So parents might say, my kids can only do 20 minutes, but let's go for 20 minutes. Let's expose them to the presence of God. Let's see what happens. And so even just families wandering in for that time has been really special. And definitely we've seen more of a hunger towards God, more of a desire to see him move. And it's really been just special in the life of the church.
Something that interests me with prayer rooms is I'm somebody who actually likes just wandering into churches. And you know, these days there's not a lot of churches that are open. Like there's a Catholic church nearby. Sometimes I go for a walk. I go in there. I actually really enjoy it. There's nobody in there. But in terms of these kind of, it's the church praying. But is there room for it to be, hey, you might not belong to our church. Would you like to come? And and they can just sit there quietly or engage or not. What's your thoughts around that?
Well, fascinatingly, we do open it up to other churches in Dunedin so that they can participate, get the vibe. But what I love is our local barista comes in.
Yay.
He asks me, he's like, when is the next 24/7? I just experience the presence of God. He wouldn't say he's a Christian.
No.
He's like, I experience peace in that space. I love being in that space. Can you let me know when the next one is? Literally every time we go for coffee, it's coming up in 3 weeks tea. It's coming up in 2 weeks tea. And then he's there first time we're open, straight after shift. He comes in. He's just in God's presence. So we're amazed to see that, but we love it, having people wander.
Yeah, I think, people, and I've said it before on the show, people can feel uncomfortable, threatened coming into a church meeting, or maybe they can't cope with too much stimulation and noise, but you come into a prayer room, it's like, I just think we need more of those for people like your barista to come into. So that's very cool.
Absolutely.
Hey, tell us, what's your YouTube channel? Because there's some resources there that people may find helpful. I did.
Yeah, you can go to Elim Dunedin on YouTube, and it's under our playlists tab. So you can go there and look for help with praying for 24/7.
And what are you guys doing next week for 24/7?
So we're jumping in full ball with the 24/7 for 10 days.
Yep.
Getting ready for Pentecost. We're believing God that people are going to be here praying. It's funny, we're doing it while we also have a roof replacement project going on. So people will be praying, people will be working, everything's going to be going on.
I love that.
hungry to see God move.
Yeah, the builders might come in and join in the prayer meeting too, just like the barista.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, Gabe, so great to speak with you again. Gabe Chan, Dunedin, Elam. Thank you again for your time today.
Thanks, Lizzie.